We thank the elements of the earth that live inside of our bodies. We thank our blood and our waters. We thank the earth. We thank the air. We thank the fire. We give gratitude in all directions for the wisdom keepers and the ancient ones. We give thanks to the grandmothers of the world who birth their children. We give thanks to the mothers of the world. We give thanks to the male and female, to the sacred masculine and feminine principles. It's the end of summer. My name is Yonnette Fleming. I am the creatrix and founder of the Hattie Carthan Healing Farm that is located at 49 Van Buren in Brooklyn, New York. We are almost at the end of summer and are moving quickly into the fall. It's a brief message and a reminder about the importance of our ancestral practices to the transformation that the planet requires of us. The Hattie Carthan Urban Farm was created in 2012. It was that pivotal time where people were not sure whether the world would end. As a matter of fact, many people were running around. You probably remember too, saying that 2012 was the end of the world. Well, what I was called to do at that time was to create an herb farm. And that herb farm was a call from Spirit for the reclamation of the ancestral practices of herbalism and spices for healing justice. I went on that call. I answered that call by reclaiming the land that we are sitting on, speaking to you now from the trees of that land. That land had oil, petroleum waste, was spread all over the land, and we found puddles of black oil running when we attempted to dig and to excavate the farm. So Farmayan and volunteers from all across the country came through and organized till this day. Now on September 7th, we are inviting you as community to come out and to celebrate the ribbon cutting of our new spice shop that will offer us economies and ways of learning and retracking our ancestral journeys that led up to here. Now, when I say the word journeys, you should think of migrations. You should think about countries falling under the sea. You should know that many of us from the global south come from places that will no longer be on the map in just a few years. What are our cultures, what are our ancestors saying to us at this time about retracking our practices and about those ancestral practices appearing in the world at a time when the establishment is ready to co-opt everything that is ancestral so that our practices can materialize and result in billions of dollars for the mainstream system? But we shall not be moved. The curanderas, the wise women, the woming women, the throbbing women of this earth, we shall not be moved, for we shall bring through the remembrance to the children and to the people that are ready to accept and honor and remember the ways of our ancestors. We hope to see you in the spice shop. We will teach you all about the spices and about their history on the earth. We will show you what they do inside of the body. From our young members, all of our young people are in training and understanding this new way So it doesn't matter our age, because age too is just another illusion, like gender, like race. These are all the illusions of the centuries past. Now it's time for us to unite, for us to understand the power of synergy, synergistic medicine. The East will be West, and the West will be East, and the North will be South, and the South will be North. The poles have already changed. Come on, my people. Ramayan calls you. Come home to yourself. Heal the inner garden. Understand your trauma and your ways, and understand how the herbs can help you to resurrect those memories so we can heal them. Not to re-traumatize you. We remember so that we can heal those patterns, so that we can be one again with the parts of us that we have set aside so that we could be appropriate for the dominant system. Farmayan calls you. Come home to yourself. And just like this spiral, just come in layer by layer. Thank you for listening. I hope to see you in the spice shop. I hope that you will come and be with us on the land. I hope you will ask us about our ways and allow us to be mentors to you, to show you the way forward and how to retrack your ancestral journey without dogma. I hope that you will come hug a tree. I hope you will meet the plants. I hope to see you in the Hattie Carthan Foodways in 2024 at any of our events. There are so many. There's going to be the Ancestral Healing Mural that comes up on September 21st at our Friends and Family Day. There's going to be Rhythms on the Land, where we bring people together from the global south to talk about the horrors of what it meant to work on plantation, but also celebrate the joys of what it means to be awake, to acknowledge and to honor, and to be ready in your mind and your body to take up your ancestral baton for the next part of this journey. Farmayan calls you. Harki, hear me. Farmayan calls you. Harki, hear me. Farmayan calls you. Come home to yourself. Thank you.
Please state your name, race, age, and your role here today.
My name is Anthony. I'm a Guyanese American. I'm 29 years old. And
what your role is.
Oh, and I'm one of the mural artists for this project right here for the Spice Shop.
So, we wanted to ask today, what is creativity to you, and how do we protect our creativity from exploitation by intellectuals?
So to me, creativity is just more so just about expressing yourself authentically. What drives you, what you grew up experiencing, as well, what do you feel? In terms of like exploitation, I would just say remain your true authentic self. To be honest, there's they could try, but like you know that you're the source of what you created and whatnot, and just staying true to that.
Great. And what are like 2 to 3 realizations you made while creating this piece?
One, I didn't realize how important spices were and whatnot, and like even we're using in our daily lives, and I didn't realize it was like a currency, a commodity back in the day, and how it almost like destroyed people and whatnot. And I also didn't realize how many different things, internal resources we got, migrated from different parts of the world and whatnot, and how they came here and was even originated from here.
Great.
Yeah.
And then how will you use these realizations to empower others?
One, I'm gonna continue to get educated as well as educating and whatnot. In my future pieces, I want to like highlight just the sources of these, just be more mindful of like some of those things that I've learned, and as well as expressing it to them.
Great. Okay. What are your thoughts and feedback regarding Afrofuturism and community in the creation of art?
So I was actually introduced to Afrofuturism a few years ago by my friend. She said she saw that style in my own personal arts or whatever. I never even realized it. I looked into Afrofuturism and I loved the way that they empower Black people, give them these put them in these situations that they were never put in before. More so struggle, it's more empowering and whatnot. Well, that's what I love about it. But I've also noticed that a lot of our Afrofuturism today is created by like AI technology and whatnot, and that doesn't really sit right with me in a sense. So I feel like that we need to take that power from like just AI and type of styles, which is what I also loved about creating this mural, because it also had some elements of Afrofuturism, combining like the woman with the mermaid and whatnot, giving it her a very empowering form. But it's painted within nature and whatnot, whereas it's created by a computer. Yeah, and that's what I love. Yeah. The information, like, I would just say more representation, you know, like just more giving us more access to those type of arts, because we don't see ourselves in that light or whatever. So as like a community, I feel like we should use Afrofuturism in a sense to empower us, so not as a whole, that would make us feel better about ourselves.
Please state your name, race, and age.
Peace, I'm Beth Bliss. I am 24. I am Afro-Indigenous.
What were 3 new realizations made in your time here today?
My 3 realizations today have been that spices go way, way, way back. They were used before our time here, and it's important to study that. Another realization I made was that creating art in community is a way to use our power, our power that there's a narrative that it's been stolen from us, but when we come together and we make art together and we create together, we use our power. The last realization I made today was that having spices here locally is super important. It's a blessing to just create with them and craft with them.
What are 3 ancestral-based practices used at Hattie Carthan?
3 ancestral-based practices that we use here are preserving and canning and pickling practices. We also do libation here, and we honor our ancestors. And the 3rd would be our cooking, I think, our nurturing.
How do we expand in order to comprehend?
I think the way we expand is by keeping an open mind and being open to new ideas, different ideas, and embracing them.
Who is a maroon?
A maroon is a warrior spirit. It's a sovereign being. We are maroons here at Hattie Carthan.
How does exclusion of Indigenous people help to separate us in our quest for resources for community organizing and movement building work?
So the separation and exclusion of Indigenous peoples denies us access to our resources and to our ancestral wisdom. It severs our connection with our land, and that impacts the way we mobilize, organize, and build community.
Were you able to heal from betrayal while overstanding your relationship to the herbs, spices, and land?
I was able to heal myself during the mural painting with community. Yes, because when we understand or overstand that the plants and the herbs are our allies, and we're their allies, it reconnects us to our health and our prosperity and our natural state of abundance.
How will you use today's realizations to empower others?
I will use today's realizations to empower others by sharing with others, cooking for people, just sharing what I've learned.
Thank you. Please state your name, race, and age.
Sure. Trey, I'm 45, and race is African American.
What were 3 new realizations made in your time here today?
3 new realizations. I think immediately I'm thinking of just like how the Maroons were able to like get out of slavery and start to like build a sovereignty for themselves. How much spices, how much indigenous and African American people were involved in spices and how it was like integral to their lives. And third, I guess just how many spices there are, and just like how they were used, how they were almost like monetary. They were like money.
What are 3 ancestral-based practices used at Hattie Carthan?
A lot of drumming, just our ancestor space, so being able to connect with our ancestors in a space at any given point. I don't think people are experiencing that very often. And third is when we're planting, just planting our dreams and our hopes and our wishes for the land and for ourselves.
How do we expand in order to comprehend?
I think expanding is inviting ourselves to just like really take in the information and slow down so we can like really experience and like make a like heartfelt decision about things.
Who is a Maroon?
The Maroons were enslaved Africans, indigenous folks that escaped slavery and began to build like sovereign communities, and that was during slavery. But now those are any people that are freedom fighters that are seeking sovereignty and freedom in this space in this time now that are of African descent.
How does exclusion of Indigenous people help to separate us in our quest for resources for community organizing and movement building work?
I mean, the separation adds to, I think, folks all fighting for resources. So if people are excluded, then there's everyone is fighting for these limited resources.
Were you able to heal from betrayal while understanding your relationship to the herbs, spices, and land today?
I think there is some healing that happens, just like learning more about the Maroons and hearing their stories and like how important they were in history, and to learn that they were like almost excluded from history is like, oh yeah, these people are important to history, and they're part of my culture.
And last, how will you use today's realizations to empower others?
I think just sharing my knowledge with other people, inviting them to slow down and kind of like, if they have questions, I can share with them my knowledge.
All right, thank you so much. Please state your name, race, and age.
My name's Maya, I'm 27 and I'm Black.
What were 3 new realizations made in your time here today?
Well, first, just learning more about the Maroons. I didn't know a lot about what they did once they escaped slavery, so that was a new realization. Also, being in community with people and learning about the Maroons kind of showed how important it was to be in community with people instead of doing things on your own. You can accomplish a lot more. And then also just how old spices are.
What are 3 ancestral-based practices used at Hattie Carthan?
I would say sage burning, and also burning of other herbs and like things that you would consider weeds, but yeah, they're herbs to burn. And I would also say the circle, talking about your experiences, and then the food.
How do we expand in order to comprehend?
Well, you must learn things to learn things, so you have to seek outside knowledge before you think, like if you think you can take on something by yourself, I think that kind of falls in like with the importance of community too. Like you can't do everything on your own, so learning from others or just like other resources, and yeah, that'll help you. Well, that helps you expand, and then you're able to comprehend after that.
Who is a Maroon?
Maroons they escaped slavery. They're from like the Americas, the Caribbean islands, and probably some other places I'm forgetting, but yeah, they escaped slavery and then they kind of created their own settlements afterwards.
How does exclusion of Indigenous people help to separate us in our quest for resources for community organizing and movement building work?
Exclusion does not help us. If you're excluding the Indigenous people, then you are missing out on a lot of knowledge, ways to use things that the Indigenous people, what they've done with it for probably centuries and centuries and centuries. So.
Were you able to heal from betrayal while overstanding your relationship to the herbs, spices, and land?
Yeah, I think it made me a lot more appreciative of what the land is and what it provides. I mean, it brings abundance, basically.
How will you use today's realizations to empower others?
I think the biggest thing is the importance of community and how community is always going to be there for you and how you also have to be a participant in the community. So I think I will be empowering people to be more communal than individual.
Thank you.
Okay, what is your race and your age?
My name is Sasha. Yeah, my name is Sasha. I'm 34 and I'm South Asian.
What are 3 new realizations you made in your time here?
So today, when we learned about the spices, I don't think I realized, first of all, just how long of a history we've had with these plants, and especially like learning about the garlic. Like, there's so much unknown still about garlic and how we built a relationship with, but how central it was to like South Asia, I didn't know that, and so that's one realization I had today. Another realization I had was just like realizing just how much exploitation is intertwined with spices, but it doesn't necessarily mean that there's like a relationship with the spices, because we see how like poorly, I guess, spices are used today. There's like such a trend to like make unspiced food here in the United States, but like all the power and wealth has come from this exploitation of these plants. So that was another realization. And then lastly, I just think like the sovereignty, I mean, I think I knew this, but it really like solidified just how much of our sovereignty is tied in with these plants specifically, and spices and herbs in particular.
What are 3 ancestral-based practices used at Hattie Carthan?
Number 1, I would say, is the composting. I think like this system of processing our earth is such a it's been such an important way for me, at least, to connect with ancestral practices. I think our farming work that we do, especially in terms of like our pesticide, how we do pesticides, which is not even pesticides, it's like pest control with like the mint and the marigolds and the onions. Like we use all this companion planting. This is also an ancestral practice that I've learned here. And then I think the last ancestral practice I am thinking of is the herbal washes. Whenever we like clean up with our herbal, with the herbs and water, that feels like something that I've only learned here and been able to connect to like my ancestors through that.
How do we expand in order to comprehend?
I think in order to comprehend, there needs to be like spaciousness and curiosity. So those are, I think, are ways that we expand ourselves itself. So the comprehension comes then from like getting that space to like embody the knowledge that we've learned, and yeah, just the curiosity to even like expand ourselves and like open ourselves up to just new knowledge, new ways of being, new ways of working and doing as well.
Who is a maroon?
A maroon is a sovereign being. A maroon is someone who resists, I think, like resists enslavement. And a maroon is someone, yeah, who fights for their sovereignty at the end of the day.
How does exclusion of indigenous people help separate us in our quest for resources, for community organized movement, building work?
I think there's so much like knowledge that's lost when we're not like in relation to the indigenous people of the land that we live on, and indigenous people around the world also. So that's a way that we like don't know our resources well. Then we don't know the land, and then thus don't know the resources that we have right with us, you know. And the knowledge that comes from knowing like the land is just so essential to our survival and our movement building, because we can't build power without, I don't think we can build power without the power of the land, because everything is based here on this earth.
Were you able to heal from betrayal while understanding your relationship to the herbs and spices on the land?
Definitely was able to heal this betrayal, because as a South Asian person, I think like our story is so intertwined with colonization, and there's like a desire to distance ourselves from land work as well. So getting a chance to work with the land and work with certain herbs and spices, and all the herbs and spices here truthfully have just healed so much of like my relationships with myself, with my family, with my community, with just the people around me. And on top of it, just the land itself, my relationship to the land itself is like a huge part of this healing process.
How will you use today's realizations to empower others?
I think just continuing to expand my own knowledge and share that out with others, and continuing to do this work of being in relationship, in deep relationships. So meaning knowing things from thousands of years ago, knowing like what our ancestors knew, and bringing that forward into today, and you know, adapting it, obviously not just like holding on to all of it, but like having flexibility to change and grow with the knowledge that I learned.
That's it.
Thank you.